They came into Chase Center under bright lights and with a chance. The Indiana Fever had the opportunity, the setting, and the platform to show their growth. To showcase their grit. To respond to a tough battle in Connecticut with a statement on the road. But instead, what we saw was a team that tucked its tail. On a Thursday night in San Francisco, the Indiana Fever had a winnable game, and they let it slip, not through superior opposition, but through a lack of aggression. A lack of fire. A lack of the very identity they've been trying to build all season long. This wasn't a finals contender. This wasn't Las Vegas. This wasn't New York at full strength. This was a Golden State Valkyries team at 5-6. A new expansion team. A team missing 5 players due to Eurobasket. But it didn't matter. Because the Fever, weary, flat, hesitant, didn't rise to the occasion. They shrank from it. Call it fatigue. Call it the West Coast trip. Call it the bruises from a physical game against Connecticut 48 hours earlier. Call it whatever you want. But don't call it a fight. Because there was very little of that on the floor. No grit, no tenacity, no presence. What we saw was a group going through the motions. A group caught in the fog of travel and the hangover of a draining defeat. In the first half, there were moments. Hints. Flickers of potential. The Fever had the edge early. They looked like the more talented team. They should have pulled away. But the Valkyries, they got tougher. They got louder. And the Fever, they got quiet. What followed was a second-half collapse that said it all. Golden State turned up the pressure, full court, tight switches, helped defense collapsing like a wave. And Indiana, they didn't meet it with force. They didn't push back. They didn't bite. They backed off. They went soft. And in professional basketball, when you go soft, you lose. Every time. The Valkyries outworked them, out-hustled them, out-hearted them. It wasn't about talent. It wasn't about skill. It was about want to. And the Valkyries wanted it more. They drove to the basket with conviction. They fought for rebounds like their contracts depended on it. They moved the ball with intent, and they played with the kind of passion a new franchise has to show to prove it belongs. And Indiana, they let it happen. Possession by possession, quarter by quarter. They didn't answer the bell. They didn't protect the lead. They didn't rise to the moment. There are nights in sports where the scoreboard tells the truth. This was one of them. Not just because of the final margin, but because of how it happened. Because the Fever folded when it mattered most. And for a team with rising stars, with potential, with Caitlin Clark still finding her WNBA legs, this was a night where leadership should have stepped in. Where veterans should have steadied the ship. Where teammates should have demanded more from each other. But instead, they drifted. A unit with playoff dreams played like a team that just wanted to get back to the hotel. And that's not acceptable. Not for a franchise that's building. Not for a team trying to regain respect in the league. Not for a roster full of young talent that has shown sparks of greatness this season. You don't get nights off in this league. You don't get to coast. Because there's always a hungrier team waiting. Thursday night, that team was Golden State. And the Fever, they were the ones who blinked. The locker room will feel this one. The tape will be ugly. The coaches will ask questions. The players will ask questions. And the fans, they'll be justified in doing the same. Not because the Fever lost, but how they lost. Because sometimes, it's not about the X's and O's. It's not about the shooting percentage or turnovers. Sometimes, it's about heart. And Thursday night, Indiana left theirs in Connecticut. They'll need to find it again, fast. Because the WNBA doesn't wait for anyone. And if you don't show up to fight, you don't just lose.